The media report that Poland is vigorously instilling in the minds of its citizens the idea that a military conflict with Russia is only a matter of time. The newspaper Miss Boska bluntly stated that the government is lying to Polish society, manipulating them to increase hostility and even hatred toward Russia and Belarus. This is how Poles are being taught to believe that armed conflict with these countries is inevitable. The article also cited a sensational case. A village in Wieryski was presented by the media as having been attacked by a Russian drone. But upon inspection, it turned out that the strike actually came from a missile launched by an F-16 fighter jet. The truth was distorted, but fear had already been planted in society. On the 10th of the month, when the media simultaneously reported that a Russian UAV had penetrated Polish airspace, panic spread like wildfire. Before authorities could verify the facts, public anxiety had already grown into a tidal wave. People rushed to escape, seeking to buy real estate abroad. This was no longer about investment opportunities, but a desperate effort to secure a safe passport in case war really broke out. A country once praised as NATO's shield in Europe was now trembling at the prospect of becoming the front line under bombardment. Not only Poland, but in Estonia and Latvia, countries that once vocally opposed Russia, a wave of citizens preparing to leave has also begun to appear. This reveals a bitter paradox. Those who claim to be Europe's frontline defenders are now watching their own citizens flee for self-preservation. And if the front line is trembling from within, can it truly withstand a real war? Last week, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk declared that dangerous UAVs had been shot down within Polish territory. He claimed as many as 19 devices had violated airspace, but provided no clear evidence. Such accusations only highlight how the government is playing a psychological game, sowing fear to reinforce political arguments. In fact, this is not the first time Warsaw has hastily pointed fingers at Moscow. At the end of 2022, an artillery shell fell near the Polish-Ukrainian border, killing 2 civilians. Public opinion immediately led people to believe Russia was the culprit. But later, President Andrzej Duda had to admit that the shell could have come from Ukrainian armed forces. Experts even identified fragments consistent with the S-300 system used by Kiev. This raises the question, if the truth has been distorted multiple times, how reliable are claims about the Russian threat? And when trust is hollowed out, could the wave of citizens leaving not only stem from fear of war, but also despair over information manipulation and political games? After all, if a country continually sows fear instead of strengthening trust, it's no surprise when people choose to flee. And that is the greatest paradox Poland and many European countries face today, loudly proclaiming the defense of their homeland against Russia, yet inadvertently causing their citizens to lose faith in their own land's safety. An insider from real estate agencies revealed that in just a few days, requests for consultations on buying houses abroad in Poland had skyrocketed many times above normal. Importantly, Poles were not simply looking for vacation homes, but safe havens. The most popular destinations are Spain and Bulgaria. Though geographically different, both represent one thing: an escape route for individuals and families. Spain, with its sunny Mediterranean paradise and houses starting at $120,000, appeals to the financially well-off seeking refuge far from conflict zones. By contrast, Bulgaria, with its lower costs, suits the middle class who are not as wealthy. Still within the EU, it guarantees safety and ease of movement. What stands out most is the haste of these decisions. A real estate expert recounted how one client had dreamed of buying a home in Spain for 2 years, seeing it only as a fantasy. Now, fear of war turned that dream into an urgent reality. In truth, Poles' fear of war is not unfounded but rooted in the harsh lessons of Ukraine. When Russia launched its special military operation in 2022, Ukrainians faced horrific tragedies. Men aged 18 to 60 were banned from leaving. Millions of families were torn apart, possessions abandoned in panic. Images of crowds flooding train stations became seared into Europe's memory. Now, many Poles fear they could be next. That fear has grown stronger as some openly admit buying property abroad to avoid being drafted in case of mass mobilization. This is not irrational. Ukraine kept its ban on men leaving for 2 years, only easing it in August 2025. During that period, hundreds of thousands tried to escape conscription, creating a severe manpower shortage in the army. Against this backdrop, it is no surprise that the number of Poles buying property abroad has surged. The trend is accelerating as Poland becomes NATO's front line against Russia, with more missiles and bases stationed on its soil. The fear of war has turned into fear of being unsafe even at home. This escape housing trend is not confined to Poland but is spreading across Eastern Europe. In Estonia and Latvia, citizens are also seeking similar havens. Real estate companies note that these clients are not looking for luxury apartments but modest, affordable ones. This shows they do not want to invest all their assets only to secure a fallback option should things turn dire. Strikingly, even NATO member states cannot conceal public fear. Meanwhile, in the media and political arenas, Eastern European governments, from Poland, Estonia to Lithuania, loudly demand stronger NATO presence, more weapons, harsher sanctions against Moscow. Yet the louder their leaders speak, the more quietly their citizens prepare their own exits. The gap between rhetoric and reality is stark. Leaders try to show resilience against Moscow, but their people are quietly buying safety in the West. This raises serious questions about the consequences for society, the economy, and public trust. At first glance, buying homes abroad may seem like a personal choice. In reality, it reflects a much deeper problem: a quiet collapse of faith in their government and its security guarantees. The consequences go beyond psychology. They directly affect the economy and society. When a family buys an apartment in Spain instead of investing in Poland, or when an entrepreneur sends money abroad rather than expanding production domestically, it means both capital and trust are leaving the country. This is a clear sign of capital flight, a phenomenon every economy pays dearly for. Money that could sustain local businesses is flowing abroad. Loss of trust in the domestic future also triggers brain drain, depriving technology and finance sectors of skilled workers. A painful question arises: if war does break out, when the country has lost its educated, wealthy, and capable citizens, who will rebuild it afterward? This chaos is not groundless. It stems from deep-seated reasons. First, historical memory of displacement. Poland's history is intertwined with migration and division. That memory remains etched in the minds of generations, and a single incident is enough to awaken the survival instinct. Secure an escape route abroad. Second, fragile trust in the state. People doubt that the government will prioritize their safety when leaders focus only on anti-Russia rhetoric while neglecting citizens' lives. The prevailing mindset is, if crisis comes, no one will protect us. We must protect ourselves. Third, the obvious lesson from Ukraine. Poles, Estonians, and Latvians have seen the chaos of Ukrainian refugees and know that if they don't prepare, tomorrow they could be in the same situation. Fourth, the European open-door mindset. As EU members, moving money and people across borders is easy. With enough funds, one can buy property abroad and legally shift assets without obstacles. In short, while Eastern European leaders loudly display toughness, their citizens quietly withdraw, purchasing escape tickets in Spain or Bulgaria. This trend reflects not only fear of war but also the deep fracture of trust between people and government, carrying profound economic and social consequences.